It's the 6th of June 2017. My name is Barnaby Brown and I am in the ancient city of Poseidonia. It was called Poseidonia by the Greeks, who arrived here in the 6th century BC. The Romans called it Paestum, which is its name today. And I'm going to be continuing my exploration of this instrument, which was made by Marco from drawings by Stelios Psaroudakis of an original that was found about 1.5 kilometers in that direction in a grave, and the grave has been dated to around about 480 BC. Now the original is made of deer bone, the tibia, a very particular bone. It's the only bone in an animal that you can make a nice round cylindrical tube out of, and in fact you need several deer in order to make one instrument. 2, 4, 6, 8 tibia bones, so that would be 4 deer. And we're right at the beginning of the journey of discovery, how to make and how to play this instrument, because it's a bit like giving an alien from outer space a violin. No teacher, no YouTube videos, no books or tutors how to play, and asking them to give a concert in a few months' time. Well, that's been the story of my life for the last couple of years, and I look forward to gently, over time, moving beyond being a beginner. I'm still a beginner, less of a beginner than I was when I received this instrument last October. And I must say, I am falling in love with it. The reeds, crucially, don't survive, so possibly the single most important breakthrough of the last, I can be very accurate here, I can say 13 months, because Robin Howell, between May and June 2016, hit the jackpot, and I think really made sense of this type of ancient instrument, which has been a bit of a conundrum because the holes don't seem to be perfectly aligned with what we would expect, and I'll explain why, or at least this is our hypothesis. So I'm taking off the reed caps, and I might, well, we'll see how they're doing. It's nice to be playing in the real climate that they would have known in the 5th century BC. Basically, it's like singing. You can sing any scale you like. The scale that comes out is the one you decide to sing in your head. I simply, I'm not half-holing at all, I'm changing the pitch by pulling the reed in and out of the mouth. And what's amazing, I never imagined, after about 6 months of practicing, not daily practice, but occasional practicing, it's starting to become intuitive. So I can just, like a singer, I can think the pitch I want to play, and out it comes. Like magic. Well, it's not magic, it's hard work. What I'm trying to do here is get the same pitch onto adjacent fingerings. Which all depends on the reeds. If I had even longer blades, then that would be possible. As it is, I have about a tone to play with, certainly a semitone. I'm just going to do a bit of practicing now. So this is I'm in the foothills of this mountain that is learning how to play the aulos without a teacher. Stiffness in the thumb, how to avoid it. The approach I'm taking is to keep the fingers as loose and easy as possible, avoiding tension. Some people I know are trying to play with their fingertips. If they can avoid tension that way, great. I am not trying to do everything. I'm a Highland piper, so I'm bringing that cultural baggage to the instrument, and I'm not ashamed about that. I'm exploring it from the perspective of a Highland piper. Now there are lots of, I hope there will be lots of aulos players in the coming years, and I hope that people will approach it from multiple perspectives, because that's how we're going to learn. So I'm applying the perspective of a Highland piper, bringing all that cultural weight and heritage to see what that throws open. And then someone from a Bulgarian or from an Iranian tradition will bring completely different musical scales, fingering practices, and it's all very exciting. So that's a little movement from Pibroch, and I'm just moving it up and down the scale. I could do it on a different scale. That's the one that I suppose comes most easily out of the instrument, but I could lip it elsewhere. Let's try the other pipe. I'll just do the same exercise, so I'll have to move up a tone because the pipes are one tone apart. mean, it's just so easy to switch between major and minor. It's just a muscle movement from the elbow further into the lip. It's tiny, and I suppose there's a bit more compression on the lip too. Stiffness in the thumb is a real problem because it's underneath, and I'd like my thumb to be as agile as all the other fingers, but that requires real thought. And I think the way to achieve it is to have the instrument quite rotated, so that the thumb is not actually underneath and you take as much weight as possible with the top fingers. So the more inclined it is, the easier it is for that thumb to be really loose. You just have to be careful that the instrument doesn't drop out of your hands. And I would advise practicing on a carpet. Particularly if you've got an instrument made of deer bone, which is a very, very difficult material to get hold of and to process. I've just received an instrument made by Robin Howell from a deer bone, and the animals were still alive a year ago. And we've got a lot to learn there. It's a real problem. So, but I would say that playing deer bone is the bee's knees. I can totally understand why they preferred deer bone and continued using it even when they were encasing them in bronze. The core was still deer bone. It has a beautiful feel to it. Yes, more deer bone supply is required. So I'm trying to avoid the instrument moving up and down. Basically, if the instrument's wobbling, then there's unnecessary tension somewhere. So I'm going to move the reed fraction round so that I can... You have to treat reeds as if they're £1,000 a piece. I'm not joking. When you have reeds that work, it's so easy to damage them. And good reeds are to die for. It's as simple as that, and this needs to be reflected in the pricing of reeds, so that those who are making them develop the skill and can supply those who don't have the patience, and it requires an enormous amount of patience to make the reeds, to properly remunerate that incredibly important task. I mean, the instrument is useless, completely useless without good reeds. They are the secret, they're the heart and soul of it. Frankly, from my perspective, having battled with reeds that don't work, it's far more valuable investment than the instrument. There are probably hundreds of thousands of people who could potentially make the instrument. Right at this moment in time, you can count on one hand. You can count on half a hand the number of people who can make good aulos reeds. I hope that will change. These reeds I could play all day. They're absolutely effortless. And that's what I mean by a good reed. They are totally efficient, stable, will keep going forever. You know, it's just a dream, an absolute dream. Thank you, Robin. So I'm trying to lighten, not to wobble. It's quite good to practice in different positions and to do a sort of bit of yoga as you play in order to prevent any muscles from getting fixed and locked. It's actually lovely to play up to the heavens because the weight of the instrument rests in the lips, taking the pressure away from the fingers. I would highly recommend that. It's also good for strengthening your back. Yeah, much easier to use the thumb in that position. So let's just have a little bit of thumb practice. I probably need to practice the thumbs 10 times, 20 times as much as the other fingers. Let's go back to those Pibroch, perflagmata, or bubbles. There's a wonderful Sardinian exercise that Luigi Lai taught me. He used it just for the bottom two fingers to exercise the ring, which is always the slowest and needs educated. What I'll do now is I'm just going to improvise a little and maybe demonstrate a few of the tonal possibilities. I've not yet got my head around ancient Greek music theory, so what's coming out is not embedded in the theoretical writings of the time. That will come. At the moment I'm just becoming a little bit more skillful with my lips and the ear-finger embouchure coordination. So I'm not being very ambitious, very easy, long notes, trying to get intonation, practicing my circular breathing. In time, this instrument could do much more exciting things.